Okay, so this one is from France 24. It caught my eye with how they titled it, but so it says uh, Iran positively reviewing Pakistan's request for a 2-week ceasefire, sources say. Now, I'm highly skeptical. I am highly skeptical that they are actually responding positively or who these sources are. Um, this seems like this is the type of cope that we saw like that we see a lot whenever America is trying to, like what's the way I want to phrase this? When it's trying to like manifest when it's trying to manifest something into existence, then they will like Trump did this with Hamas a lot or whatever, where he would like try to manifest, or like with the Hamas Israel ceasefire, he would try to like manifest a ceasefire by just saying that they're responding positively to it, even though like it would get denied multiple times and all that sort of stuff. Same with like the like Israel and Hezbollah. Um, so I kind of am assuming that this is going to be a similar thing where they're just trying to like pretend it into existence, the ceasefire to happen. But let's go ahead and see what they have to say here on France 24.
News just in, the White House says Donald Trump has been made aware of a ceasefire proposal put forward by Pakistan. It comes as Iranians stock up on bottled water and power packs as the clock ticks down on the US president's latest ultimatum for a deal that includes reopening the strategic Strait of Hormuz, after warning that a whole civilization would die if the regime failed to agree to his demands. Trump said Tehran still had time to capitulate ahead of the deadline, which is set for just under 4 hours' time. Well, for the very latest, let's cross live to Fraser Jackson. He's our correspondent in Washington. Fraser, an astonishing threat earlier from the US president, but in the last few minutes, the White House saying that he's aware of a ceasefire proposal being put forward by Pakistan. Very difficult to say, as always, what Donald Trump might do next, but could this provide an off-ramp?
That is the word that I was about to say, Sharon. This is a very much needed off-ramp for the president here. He'd effectively painted himself into a bit of a corner and had dialed up the rhetoric significantly this morning at around 8 a.m. local time, posting that it was going to be the end of the Iranian civilization. But now an off-ramp being offered here by the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who took to Twitter to ask Iran and the US to observe a 2-week ceasefire to, quote, allow diplomacy to achieve conclusive termination of this war. Now, of course, that is what the Iranians want. They do not want a ceasefire agreement. They want a more long-term deal. Now, so this post on X that we saw from the Pakistani Prime Minister.
Yeah, everything that I've heard from the Iranian side is that they do not want to do any sort of temporary ceasefire because all that has done in the past is just given America and Israel time to rearm. So the way that they're looking at it right now is that they think, they think that like, that if they keep going, like, that they're going to cause so much damage. Like they're pretty sure that they're going to run out of interceptors, I think, is what they're guessing. And so they're thinking, why would we let them have some time to rearm themselves? And they're also thinking, like, with the way that Trump is acting, that like Trump is essentially begging for a ceasefire 24/7, like trying to do everything he possibly can to get them to like agree to some sort of deal. And so they kind of think that they have America on the back foot right now. And so to them, they're like, why would we stop? If we're, if we're militarily achieving all of the things we want, if we're getting sanctions relief, if we're able to charge money for the Strait of Hormuz, if we're trying to do this, or like, if we're destroying all of these military bases in the Gulf states and they're reconsidering whether they should keep them on their soil, if they're doing all of this militarily and they feel like they have America on the back foot, then why would they allow America to then, rearm Israel and rearm themselves with their interceptors and stuff, and move a whole bunch more military assets around the region to be prepared for another conflict in 2 to 4 weeks. It's just, it doesn't really make sense. And I think that's probably how, that's from everything that I've seen, what they're thinking right now.
Said, to allow diplomacy to run its course, I earnestly request President Trump to extend the deadline for 2 weeks. Pakistan, who of course has been mediating this, in all sincerity requests the Iranian brothers to open the Strait of Hormuz for a corresponding period of 2 weeks as a goodwill gesture. The post then continues, we also urge all warring parties to observe that ceasefire everywhere for 2 weeks to allow diplomacy to achieve the conclusive termination of this war. So in that post then, he's asking Donald Trump to extend this deadline on Iran by 2 weeks, also asking Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz during that period, and asking both sides to stop these strikes and to stop the fighting as well. Caroline Levitt saying that the president has been made aware.
They're not going to give up that card that easily, like allow the Strait of Hormuz to be open in some sort of temporary ceasefire. Nah. If there's going to be a temporary ceasefire, it's going to be purely like military strikes are stopping during that time period, but they're going to keep the Strait of Hormuz, I would guess.
Aware of this proposal by the Pakistanis and that a response will come. So we're expecting now to either hear from Donald Trump on Truth Social or through Caroline Levitt herself, but this is a real off-ramp being given here to the president after he painted himself into a really tight corner this morning at 8 a.m.
We'll bring you all the details as soon as we do get any word.
That didn't say anything about Iran's response, though. Yeah, Pakistan has been proposing all kinds of ceasefire proposals to try and get Iran to the table. And from my understanding, America is always at the table waiting for Iran to come to the table. And Iran is just refusing to have any sort of like temporary ceasefire is kind of the vibe that I'm getting.
In from either the White House or Donald Trump. But Fraser, Iranian officials, the foreign ministry, this all comes after, it was remaining defiant, vowing earlier to prevail over what it described as brute force, saying that there would be an immediate and proportionate response if Donald Trump were to follow through with these threats.
Yeah, and of course, Donald Trump has been asking for a ceasefire deal with the Iranians. The Iranians have rejected that proposal for quite some time. They actually came back with a 10-point plan of their own that they wanted to see to get this war to an end. That was going to include a permanent end to the war rather than a short-term ceasefire, as well as ending other conflicts in the region. They also wanted a system in place to ensure safe movement through the Strait of Hormuz, the formal recognition of their right to enrich uranium, which, of course, Donald Trump has said that he does not want to see. He does not want Iran to be able to enrich uranium, especially to levels that could allow them to have a nuclear bomb. They've also asked the Iranians for the removal of sanctions imposed on them by the US and other countries, and an end to Israeli hostilities on Hezbollah in Lebanon, and one of the proxy groups that, of course, Iran supports. But in exchange, they would...
And Israel, one of the proxy groups that America supports.
Charge a toll of around $2 million per vessel that would make its way through the Strait of Hormuz once the blockade was lifted, and those funds would go towards rebuilding the infrastructure damaged by strikes on Iran by the US and Israel as well. So that was not holding water for the president, which led to the rhetoric that we saw this morning.
Well, then it's not going to happen. Then you're screwed. If you're not willing to accede to the demands of what Iran has essentially already accomplished militarily. Like I kind of said this before, but the reason why Iran's demands aren't that crazy is because they've already achieved them on the battlefield. Like they already have control of the Strait of Hormuz. They've already destroyed most of the bases like in the surrounding Gulf state countries. Like they're charging people to go through the strait that $2 million or whatever. Like so they're just really asking, like, we just want you to accept that we achieve these militarily, and so if you're not going to, then we'll just keep doing what we're doing. So yeah, and they've also gotten sanction relief from that as well.
Morning, but now there seems to be a bit of a halfway house here being offered by the Pakistanis, who are trying to get this hostility to cease, at least in the short term, and hoping that that gives enough space for more significant developments to take place. Of course, there's a very similar thing to what we've seen in other conflicts, including in Gaza, and it's, of course, something that we've been thinking.
Yeah, and how's it working out over there? Israel has like violated and like attacked, like essentially the ceasefire in Gaza was just like the Palestinians have to stop fighting, but we can still bomb them whenever we want. Like that was basically how that one was. And I don't really think that Iran wants to go down that same direction.
We might see in Ukraine as well, but some time needed here to get the more concrete version solidified.
Thanks, Fraser. And as you said,
Dude, these people keep clickbaiting me. It's so fucking annoying. It says Iran positively reviewing Pakistan's request for a 2-week ceasefire. And then it says, source says, like they didn't say anything about that. They didn't say anything at all about about anybody in the Pakistani like leadership positively reviewing the ceasefire proposal. Like what? They didn't even cite like some dude on Twitter, some random like Twitter Iran media person saying that they're reviewing it. Like this is so annoying to me that I don't know. I feel like I've just been getting clickbaited a lot with these titles. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that I just have a feeling that I just think that it's probably going to keep escalating. Probably. Like, I don't know if Trump will do it tonight or what, but yeah, there's probably going to be some more strikes in the future. But